Hello guys, welcome back to Maths Zone African Motives. We are still on our revisions and this is for our O-level mathematics working with our syllabus A, and that is going to be paper 2. This is a specimen paper that we are going to actually use for our revisions to cater for the topics in our syllabus A. So as we are given the additional materials, you must have the mathematical instruments, the mathematical tables, or you can have a non-programmable electronic calculator. Meaning to say, this time you can use a calculator and also the answer booklet. Without wasting your time, go through the instructions that you're given, instructions to candidates. Make sure that you read every instruction, answer all questions that are in section A, and any 4 questions from what? From section B. That is what you're given. And your answers, you must also consider that these answers to 3 significant figures and for angles, which is working in degrees, you must have your answer to 1 decimal place. So that was it. That was it. Just go through each and every instruction. And for you to download the question paper, just check the comment section. All right. If you check the comment section, I'm going to pin a comment which shares the question paper. You can also download the question paper from the description of the video. All right. So you can easily download from there. So I'm not going to waste your time. This is it, our section A. Remember, we are being told here to answer all questions in this section. Number 1, item A, evaluate each of the following when A is equal to 1, B is equal to -2, and C is equal to 3. You are given the values, the value of A, B, and C. So item 1, you're given to find A plus B plus C. Simply substitute the values. That is, your A is 1 plus our B is what? -2. All right. Then we are going to add C. Our C is what? Is 3. So that is it. Remember, a plus and a minus is going to give us a negative. So it is the same as 1 minus 2 plus what? Plus 3, which is going to give us, if we collect these ones with a positive 1 plus 3, that's a 4, minus 2, and that is going to give us a 2 at the end. All right, so that is the idea when working with this part. And item 2, it's A squared minus B. So simply substitute A squared minus B. What is the value of A? A is 1, so that's 1 squared minus the value of B, which is what? -2. So 1 squared, that's 1 times 1, which is going to give us a 1. Minus and a minus is going to give us what? A positive. So that was going to give us a 3 at the end. All right, direct and straightforward as you are given. All right, let us move on to item B, or part B of our number 1. Express this fraction as a single fraction in its simplest form. All right, so that was our part B, where we are given 5 over x minus 2 plus 1 over 3. All right, there are so many ways in order for you to add. If the denominators are different like this, you can simply interchange 3 to the other side, and this x minus 2 to the other side. So it's going to be times x minus 2 over x minus 2. 3 to the other side times 3 over 3, so that the denominators will be the same. This one will be 3 times 5, which is 15 over 3 into x minus 2. X minus 2 is an expression, so you must open a bracket for that. Plus 1 times x minus 2, so that's 1 into x minus 2 over what? 3 times x minus 2, that's 3 into x minus 2. As we have the denominators which are exactly the same, we can have that as our LCD, 3 into x minus 2. Then we can simply add the numerators direct as it is. 15 plus 1 times x, that's plus x, plus 1 times 2, that's a minus 2. So at the end, you are going to have, if we collect the like terms, you're going to have x. Then you've got 15 minus 2, which is what? Which is 18. So that's plus 18 over 3 into x minus 2, like that. So that is what you were actually going to have at the end if you had simplified properly from that, of which there are so many ways that we can actually use in order for you to simplify that. You can consider finding the LCM or the LCD of the given denominators, which is actually another way that you can actually use. You are not limited, all right? Another way that you can actually use is to consider the LCD or the LCM of the given denominators, x minus 2 and what? And 3. So you're going to have that, that's 3 into x minus 2. So you divide your LCD divided by x minus 2. This is going to cancel. You remain with 3. So it's 3 times what? 3 times 5. Plus, you divide again here. 3 and 3 was going to cancel. You remain with what? X minus 2. So that's 1 into x minus 2. So that was simply like that. 3 times 5, that is 15. 1 times x, that is x. 1 times minus 2, that's minus 2. Everything over 3 into x minus 2. So consider your like terms. We've got x on its own. Then the numbers 15 minus 2, which is going to give us what? A positive 13 over the denominator 3 into what? X minus 2. Exactly the same answer as before. So there are so many ways that you could have just applied as long you consider your addition properly. Now let us move on to part C. Solve this equation. 3 marks for that, meaning to say we can just use our factorization in this case. X squared minus 7x plus 10 must be equal to 0. So I can simply consider 2 brackets by what? Factorization. All right. Since the coefficient of x squared is 1, this is going to be x and this is going to be x, then you consider factors of what? 10, the constant. Your constant is 10, which will add up to negative 7. Factors of what? Positive 10. So you need factors of positive 10. But these factors must add up to negative 7. So considering 5 and 2, negative 5 and negative 2. All right, there are so many factors, negative 10 and negative 1, 10 and 1. But of these factors, which condition are we going to have where we add? We are going to obtain a negative 7 from these factors. So that's a negative 5 and a negative 2, this one. If you add, you're going to obtain a negative 7. So you take those numbers, negative 5, negative 2 as it is. So that is what you're going to have. You have factorized. So remember, from the product, each of these must be equal to 0. All right, x minus 2 must also be equal to 0. So x is equal to what? Negative 5 is going to change into a positive. Negative 2 is going to also change into a positive. So that is what you're going to have as the values of x, or you can simply use your quadratic formula from there. On number 2, which is 2a, find the highest common factor. It's a factor that you are considering there, and it has to be common. So when you're dealing with the highest common factor, as these numbers are in index form, you simply have to consider the smallest powers of common factors. So you consider the smallest what? The smallest powers of what? Of the common factors, of the common factors. What is common throughout? So we are asked to leave the answer in index form. So let's consider 3. Is 3 common? Yes, 3, 3, 3. But which one has got the smallest power? That's 3. 3 to the power of what? 1. So that is 3 times 5. Is it common? Yes, it is common. Which one has got the smallest power? 5 to the exponent of what? Of 2. That's 5 squared. 11 is also common, but which one has got the smallest power? That's 11. It is the same as what? 11 to the exponent of 1. So this was going to be our highest common factor. We consider where we've got what? The smallest power that is common for those factors, all right, where there is the smallest power. All right, on B, you are given item 1, express these numbers as product of their prime factors. All right, that's item 1, B, item 1. So the first one is 108. As a product of its prime factors, let us divide by 2. Remember, you're using a calculator also, so you can even try the prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7. These are the numbers that you try. So you try the smallest, which is 2. That's 108 divided by 2. You can see that you're going to obtain a 54. All right, moving on to 2, the same. 54 divided by 2 was going to be 27. We cannot use a 2. It's going to give us a remainder. 27 divided by 2 is not exact. As you can see, it gives us a decimal. So you move on to the next prime number, which is what? Which is 3. All right, 27 divided by 3, that's a 9. Divide by 3, that's a 3. 3 divided by 3, that's a 1. So meaning to say, 108 can be written as 2 times 2, which is 2 squared. 3 times 3 times 3, that's 3 to the exponent of 3. It is multiplying itself 3 times. All right, we move on to the next number that you're given. We're done with 108, 216. The same way, the smallest number is what? Is 2. So 216 divided by 2 is going to give us what? 108. So that's 108 divided by 2. That's 54. Divide by 2. As you can see, guys, this part here, the 54, this part of 54. In fact, from 108, we have it here, 108. This is our 108, this one. So in actual sense, from here, let me just remove this one. Sorry, I was just supposed to remove the 108. As we can see, guys, from 108, it is the same as this one, 108 going down. So it means it was going to give us these numbers as they are, which is 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. They are from that 108. We've already dealt with these numbers. All right. So, guys, it was not, but you can just finish up, guys. As you can see, just repeat 54, 27, 9, 3, 1, like that. All right. So that is it. 216 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2 to the exponent of 3. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's what? 3 to the exponent of 3. So let us move on to another one, which is 648. So doing the same, the smallest of the prime number is what? Is 2. That's going to give us 6, 3, 2, 4. Divide by 2 into 3, that's 1. Remainder 1. 6 into this, that's a 2. By 2, that's going to give us 81 by 3. 81 divided by 3, that's 27. And as you can see, it's repeating 27. This one, we have that one. So 3 into 27, 9. 3 into this, 3. 3 into this, 1. So that is what you're going to have at the end. So 648 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2, which is what? 3 times 2 to the exponent of 3. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 4 times. So that's 3 to the exponent of what? Of 4. So that is what you're given. You can just leave them in index form like that. The question was to express this as product of what? Their prime factors. Then item 2, find the the lowest common multiple of these numbers. Before, it was to express them as what? Product of their prime factors. Now we need the LCM. So as opposite to the HCF, the LCM, this time, if you consider the LCM, if you've got your numbers written in index form like that, you use the highest power You use what? Where there is the highest power, but not of the common factors, what? Of each prime factor. As long there is a prime factor, use the highest what? Power of each prime factor. As long you have that prime number given, each you must consider where there is what? The highest power. So 2, in case it is common like this, you have to consider where there's the highest power between that. All right, so that's 2 to the exponent of 3, 2 to the exponent of 3. That is where we've got what? The highest power, 2 to the exponent of 3 times 3 to the exponent of 4. That is where you've got what? The highest power compared to 3 and 3. This is the highest power. So that is your LCM. All right, so we can simplify that. 2 to the exponent of 3, that's 2 times 2 times 2, 3 times, which is what? Which is 8, times 3 to the exponent of 4, which is what? 81, as you can see, 81, 3 to the exponent of what? Of 4. So multiply this, 8 times 1, that's 8, 8 times 8, that's 64. So it was going to give us 600 and what? 48 as your LCM, just like that. So you see, guys, it's just a repetition throughout. They no longer have questions to ask these guys. They just do repeat, do repeat, do repeat. Check the item C, just one and the same. You're asked to find the highest common factor of these terms. All right. That was the item 1. So let us just have 24 and 36 as product of their prime factors. So 24, the smallest number, 2, that's a 12, 2, that's a 6, 2, that's a 3, 3, that's a 1. So meaning to say, 24 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2. 2 to the exponent of 3 times what? Times 3. And 36, 2, that's 18, 2, that's 9, 3, that's 3, 3, that's 1. So that's 2 times 2, which is 2 squared. 3 times 3, that's what? 3 squared. So as you are to consider on 24, there is also this x squared and that y cubed. Here there's also x cubed and y squared. So the HCF, you consider, like before, we said we take the smallest powers of common factors, all right, where we've got the smallest power. 2 is common. The smallest power, that's 2 squared, times 3 is common, but the smallest power is what? Is 3. X is common. The smallest power, that's what? X squared. Y is common, but the smallest power is what? Y squared. So that was going to give us 2 squared, which is 4, times 3, which is what? Which is 12. X squared, y squared. So that's our HCF as of our item 1. And item 2, it was now the LCM of those same terms that we had before. So you just have to consider this time where we have got the highest power of each prime factor, highest power, 2 to the exponent of 3, the highest power, 3 to the exponent of what? Of 2. X to the exponent of 3. Those are highest powers. Y to the exponent of what? Of 3. Just like that. So that is what you're going to have at the end. And 2 to the exponent of 3, if you were to simplify this, it was going to give us 8 times 9. 3 squared, that's 9. So 8 times 9, that's 72. X cubed, y cubed. So this will be your LCM at the end of the day. So just a matter of revision. As you can see, it's just a matter of revision. So that was it for 2 marks for the LCM, 1 mark for the HCF. Let us consider another part. Number 3, the diagram that we see here shows 3 points A, B, and C on level ground. B is on a bearing north 30 degrees to the east, all right? That's our north, east to west, south. So northeast, that's north going to the east, which is this one. North, and this is the east. So they're saying it is north 30 degrees going to the what? To the east. That's the angle that you're given. From point what? From point A. And angle ABC is given as what? 45 degrees. A to B to C. That's our diagram. So from this diagram, state the three-figure bearing of B from A. Three-figure bearing. If you are to consider B from A is given here. B from A. It's taken from what? From point A. But this one, we are given as a what? As a compass bearing. So from the compass bearing, they want us to find three-figure bearing. This is what we have. That's the condition. B from A, already it is there. So remember, from the north in a clockwise direction, that's our three-figure bearing. So it was just going to be 0, 30 degrees. Already is there. All right. But you must have three figures. All right. Then another one. Find the bearing of what? The bearing of item 1, A from B. From where are we taking it from? B. So this is where our B is. All right. So on our B here, we're just going to consider something like this on point B. So that's from B. From B to A. A from B. That is what you are given there. A from what? A from B. You consider it from the point B. So from the north in a clockwise direction, if you are to consider what we refer to as what? As the three-figure bearing from the north in a clockwise direction. That's our bearing. So how are you going to take this one? All right. There is a north pole here. There's a north pole here. These two, they are parallel, remember? So it follows that we are forming alternate angles like this. So the angle of 30 degrees at A is the same as 30 degrees at what? At B. So here at B, this piece here alone, the one that is remaining here, this one, here, this angle here, is what? 30 degrees from alternate angles where we form a Z. So meaning to say the remaining angle was going to be 45 minus 30, which is 15 degrees, which is for now, we're not going to consider, but it was going to be what? 15 degrees. So in our case, A from B is this one that I indicated in red, this one, the whole angle that we are seeing here. So it has 180 degrees of a straight line from this point here up to this point. This is what? 180 degrees, a straight line. So it means it was going to be 180 degrees plus the 30 degrees, this one that is remaining here, the one that is the same as this one. So you must add that 30 degrees to 180. So that was 210 as a three-figure bearing. If we're going to use compass bearing, we can see that A from B, this is south, this side it's west. So you're moving from south to west. So you can just write it as south 30 degrees going to the what? Going to the west, just like that. As a compass bearing. Three-figure bearing, 210, you're done. So the answer was in your choice. You're not told like which one to use. Then the bearing of B from A on item 2. All right. Item 2, we need the bearing. Is it B? B from C. Sorry, that's B from C. So that's B from what? From C. All right. Let's see. From point C, this time from point C, meaning to say when I have our north pole here at what? At C. So from that point, if you are to consider three-figure bearing from the north in a clockwise direction up to this point, this is the bearing that we want. This is the angle that we want. Remember I said this angle is 30 degrees at B. And out of that 45 degrees, 15 degrees is remaining. So 15 degrees is this part here that I'm indicating. This is our 15 degrees. Using alternate angles where we form a Z, we can see that if this angle is 15 degrees, this is also 15 degrees. So you can write it as from north going to the what? To the west. So that's north 15 degrees to the west as a what? As a compass bearing north 15 degrees to the what? To the west. But as a three-figure bearing, you're talking about this whole angle that I indicated in red, this one, from the north in a clockwise direction. So you find out of 360 degrees, you're simply going to remove this 15 degrees that is remaining here in between. Out of what? 360 degrees. Simply subtract 15 degrees. So that was going to be our condition. 360 degrees minus what? Minus 15. That was going to give us 345 degrees, or simply north 15 degrees to the what? North 15 degrees to the west as your compass bearing. So any one of these answers was actually going to work. All right, so that was it on number 3, considering these bearings. Bearing is one of the easiest topics, isn't it, guys? Just revise. It's all about your basics. All right. Item C, two similar cuboids have corresponding sides in the ratio 4s to what? That's 4s to 6. All right, that's a ratio of sides. The ratio of sides is called the scale factor. All right, that's your scale factor. So item 1, express the ratio in its simplest form. Just divide by 2 by 2. That was going to give us 2s to what? S to 3. 6 divided by 2, that's a 3. That's it. Item 2, find the ratio of the volumes of the cubes. So the ratio of the volumes, that's the volume factor. Volume factor. The sides is the scale factor. So volume factor, you simply sort cube because it's volume. You raise this to the exponent of 3. The units of volume, cubic to the exponent of 3. Cubic meters, cubic centimeters. So you raise the scale factor to the exponent of what? Of 3. That's your volume factor. So scale factor to the exponent of 3. So that's 2 to the exponent of 3, 2 to the power of 3, which is 8, as to 3 to the power of 3, that's 27. So this is our volume factor, the one that we consider when we are calculating what? Volumes. As long as you're calculating volume, you use the volume factor, such as this question on item 3. They are saying here, if the volume of the larger cuboid is what? 81. Find the volume of the smaller one. So you just take as it is. This is our ratio from volume. You use what? Volume factor. Ratio of what? Ratio of volumes. Because whatever that you are given there, it is about volume. So you must consider ratio of what? Ratio of the volumes. So they are saying here, the bigger one or the larger cube has got what? 81 cubic centimeters. So according to our ratio, which one is the larger one? Is 27. So 27 must be equal to 81 cubic centimeters, the larger one. The smaller one has got a ratio of 8. According to this, it has a ratio of 8. So what is its equivalent volume? We do not know. But definitely it's going to be what? Less compared to this one of 27. So if it is less, that's the smaller one over the bigger one. 8 over 27 times what? 81 cubic centimeters. So that was it. You've got your what? Your volume of the smaller cube. That's it, just like that. 21 into this, that's 3 times 8, that's what? 24. Or you can just use your calculator, guys. Remember, this is paper 2. Calculators are required, so use that. So this is the volume of the smaller what? Of the smaller cuboid. Just like that. You see, guys, simple like that. Then another question you are given on item 4, the mass. All right, find the mass of the larger cuboid if its density is. You have got a density. Remember, the larger cube, the volume is given before. So we have got the volume. The volume is there, 81 cubic centimeters. We are given the density of 0.5 gram per cubic centimeter. What is the mass? Remember your MdV formula or your MdC formula, MdV or MdC, mass density capacity, mass density volume. If you want the mass, it's going to be density times volume, just like that. So we need the mass. So that's density times what? Density times volume. So mass is simply density times volume. So that's density 0.5 times volume 81. Using your calculator, this is paper 2, guys. Do not hesitate to use your calculator. All right, don't hesitate. That's 40.5. 40.5 grams. It's grams per, meaning the mass is in grams. So that's in what? In grams. 40.5 grams, like that. You are done. That was it. On number 4, evaluate this. All right. 4A, evaluate. All right. Positive, negative. That's a negative. So that's -5, -6 divided by +3. +3 is just same as what? As a 3. So using your BODMAS concept, let us divide the division. All right. Division. So you have to divide these two. -6/3, that's -2. So this was going to give us -5 -2, what you obtained from division. -6 divided by 3 is -2. So -5 minus 2 is what? -7 at the end. Just like that. For 2 marks, you are done. You can even verify with your calculator in case that you do not understand. All right, then a rectangle. Yes, got a length of 10 centimeters and a width of 6 centimeters, but these are being rounded. They are being rounded off to what? To the nearest centimeter, to the nearest whole number. Calculate the least possible, this is an estimation. So the length before it was 10 centimeters, what is the least possible value? It is going to be 9.5. You subtract what? 0.5. So the least possible value is going to be 9.5 centimeters. For the width, 6 centimeters, the least is going to be what? 5.5. Where you round off, it will give us the same 6. If it was the maximum possible value, it was going to be 10.4 for the length. For the width, it was going to be 6.4. Take note about that, to the nearest whole number. All right. So what is our perimeter on item 1? Perimeter is simply 2 into length plus width. Or you add everything that you see on your diagram. This is going to be 9.5. Remember, opposite sides are equal. 5.5. You add distance right round the shape. That's your perimeter. Or you simply use the formula 2 into length plus width. That's 2 into the length. What is our length? 9.5 plus the width of what? 5.5. So add, calculators are required, guys. Use your calculators. 9.5 plus 5.5 gives us 15. So that's 2 times 15, which is going to be 30 centimeters perimeter, in the same units as you are given before. All right, so that's the least possible perimeter. Let us move on to item 2 on the least possible what? The least possible area. So our area of a rectangle, that's length times width. What is your length? The least possible, 9.5. The width is 5.5. This is paper 2. Why do you have to worry as if you are in paper 1? Use your calculator, guys. All right, that's where the calculators are used. 52, what? 52.25 square centimeters. Don't make it, don't let it to be like mathematics is so hard, guys. Where the calculators are required, please do use a calculator. Where the calculator is not required, do not use a calculator. All right. See, the cost of 3 pens is what? 45 cents. 3 of them, they cost 45 cents. An easy proportion, just use proportion. 3 pens, they cost 45 cents. Calculate the cost of 50 pens. If there are 50 of them, what is the cost? But that cost must be in dollars. All right. So if 3, they cost 45 cents, 50 will be more. That will be more expensive. All right. So that's simply more. So that's the bigger value, 50 over what? Over 3 times 45 cents. So our answer is going to be in cents. All right. 45 divided by 3, that's 3 here, 1, remainder 1, 5. So 50 times 15 was going to give us 750 from our calculator. We can even just use that. 50 times 15, that's 750 cents. But the answer is required in what? In dollars. A dollar is equivalent to what? Whenever you're given a dollar, guys, that is equivalent to 100 cents. So you must divide this by 100 to obtain your answer in dollars. So that was going to be 7,750 dollars. All right. You consider two decimal places after the comma. So do not remove this zero. Just leave it as it is. So that was it. That was it. Then number 5, you're given answer the whole of this question on a sheet of plain paper. All right. Use ruler and compasses. This is part of your what? Your construction. So we are given all constructions should be done on a single diagram. All right. So a tuck shop T is located 7,5 due west of a school S. All right. So there's a school which is S. There's a school here. All right. So from the school, the tuck shop is what? Located 7,5 kilometers due west. Due west, it means straight going to the what? Straight going to the west. This is the condition. Straight going to the west. Like from our north, south, east. This is west. So where we are going here straight, that is where you're going to have what? A tuck shop, which is 7,5 kilometers. Then you're told that you must use 1 centimeter to represent what? 1 kilometer. So this is just 1:1. So if it is 1 centimeter, 1 kilometer, 7,5 kilometers, 7,5 centimeters, 1:1, 7,5 centimeters. Then the same tuck shop that we are talking about is also 5 kilometers due south of the church C. So there's a church, but due south, meaning to say down, like the church is on the north, then the tuck shop is on the south. So the church is on top. All right, that's where we have got the church. Then the tuck shop is what? Down here of due south. So that's the condition. 5 kilometers, that's what? 5 centimeters according to our scale. So if this was due west and this one is due south, it means these two, they actually meet at what? 90 degrees. Horizontal and vertical line. These are like north poles, just like north poles. All right. So that's the north and the west. Like this condition, they'll meet at what? At 90 degrees. So that was just a sketch of the information that we are given. This is just a sketch. So we are being asked to use this scale, then construct the diagram to show the positions of T, S, and what? And C. The tuck shop, the school, and the church. All right. So we already have our sketch. Let us just present this on a diagram. I'm just going to need these instruments. All right. Let me have this and a ruler. All right, I think with these two, I'll be done. All right, so let's just have, like, as we have got our sketch here, we're gonna need from S, the starting point is S, the school, then going to the what? Going to the west, 7,5 centimeters. So just you have a horizontal line like this. Just you have a horizontal line, then mark the starting point. Your starting point is going to be what? Point S. So I'm just going to mark my starting point here. That's my point what? That's my point S. So that's where we've got S. From S going to what? To T, we have got 7,5 centimeters, which is equivalent to 7,5 kilometers. So you must measure on your ruler 7,5 on your ruler here. You must measure. But here, because of that, guys, it's going to complicate. If you check here, these centimeters are written here, 5,8 centimeters if you check here. So I'm just going to open up until it writes what? 7,5 like this. 7,5 like this. All right. So this is 7,5. Exactly that you must measure on your ruler. It must be 7,5. So with that 7,5, I'm going to mark it from point S. The needle point must be at point what? must be at point S. Then you mark on this line that you started with, you just mark like that. So this is where you have got your point T. This is your point T. So that was the whole idea from this. All right, from S to T, 7.5 centimeters. So that's 7.5 centimeters. Now, we need this one from T going to C, or from C to T, which is at a perpendicular, because those condition of a vertical and horizontal meet at what? 90 degrees. So you must construct a perpendicular. You must construct what? A 90-degree angle at that point. At point T, construct 90 degrees. Remember, guys, I taught you actually how to construct 90 degrees from a point. From point T, this is how you're going to construct your 90 degrees. You mark a point, all right? Just mark a point this side. Without changing this distance, mark a point on the other side, all right? So this is it. Then using these 2 points that you marked on the line, you are going to open a distance more than half from those 2 points, more than half like this. You open a distance more than half, construct an arc, all right, on top. Then you do the same from this point. You do the same. You construct an arc. That is, you construct an arc without changing that distance that you opened. So this is more than half. The line that you're going to have from this intersection of those arcs and this one, our point T, this is our reference point. Remember, the line that you're going to join from those two will be at what? 90 degrees, will be perpendicular. That is the condition. It is going to be what? Perpendicular. That's at 90 degrees. So that's the condition. All right. That is our condition. Just like this. All right. So we have constructed 90 degrees from that point T. So T going up on that 90 degree, on that vertical line, you must measure what? 5 centimeters. So you do the same, you measure 5 centimeters on your ruler, all right? You measure 5 centimeters, but here, because of the measurements, guys, they're just gonna affect me. So this is it. This is 5 centimeters. You're going to measure it like this on your ruler, 5 centimeters, something like this. All right. With that 5 centimeters, I'm going to mark from point T here on this line. I'm going to mark a point. I'm going to mark an arc. I mean, I'm going to have an arc. All right. I'm going to have an arc on this line like this. So that represents 5 centimeters from T, meaning to say that's where the point C is. That's where the church is. That's where our point C is. And that is 5 centimeters from what? That is 5 centimeters from T. So this is the sketch, just like that. Yes, you can just, because, okay, it's going to be a shape, a closed figure, just join with the dotted line, because this is not part of your diagram. From C to what? To S, you can just join that with dotted lines to close up this shape. As you can see, it's going to be a right-angled triangle that is formed from those 3 points. A right-angled triangle was being what? Was being formed. All right, so that was it from that sketch. Then item B, find the distance from the school to the church in kilometers, all right? The distance from school to the church, the distance between these two. So you're simply going to measure between the school and what? Between the school and the church. You measure, you can even just place your ruler, measure that. It was gonna be approximately 8.9, which is approximately something like 9 centimeters there. It was going to be actually 9 centimeters, something like that. So I don't know, guys, what are you obtaining? But it was going to be something like what? 9 centimeters from the what? From the church to the school. It was 9 centimeters according to my diagram. So in kilometers, remember our scale, 1 centimeter, it's 1 kilometer, guys, 1:1. So that's simply 9 kilometers as well. 9 centimeters, 9 kilometers, 1:1. All right. Another part you are being given on C, it was to bisect. See item 1, the line TS, bisect, that is divide that line into two equal parts. Remember guys, to bisect a line is an easier thing. To bisect line TS, you're gonna need point T open more than half like this. This is more than half. You construct an arc on the top here, then you also construct another arc down. So just somewhere approximately, somewhere there you construct an arc. You do the same thing from point S without changing that distance, which is more than half, without changing that distance. All right, you construct an arc on top. Then you also do the same below. You construct an arc below like this. So that was the whole idea. The intersection of these arcs is your line bisector, the line that you're going to draw from those intersections, guys, is gonna be what? Is gonna be your line bisector. That is the condition, just like that. So here we're just gonna join these two. You have a line bisector like that. You have a line bisector here, just like this. All right, that's our line bisector, the line bisector of TS. All right, another question. It was now to bisect angle, that's angle CTS on item 2. Angle CTS, the angle at what? At T. Bisect the angle at T. This one, this is our angle T. So to bisect an angle, remember the concept, still the same. We talked about this, guys. This is what we're gonna need. From the point T, you're gonna mark 2 points from the lines that are creating that angle. This is like this, CTS. So from the point T, you mark an arc here. Without changing the distances, you mark an arc from these two arcs like this, then join from that. That's, you have bisected the angle. So in this case, this is what I'm trying to say. You're going to use this, all right? You mark an arc this side, also an arc on the other line, like this. With these two arcs, without changing that distance, with these two arcs, you are going to mark an arc inside the triangle somewhere there. That's something like this. And you move on to the other point on this line without changing the distance, guys. Without changing the distance, you mark an arc. So as you can see, they are going to meet these arcs. Where they meet to the point T, the line that you're going to draw there is going to be the angle bisector to that part that you have is gonna be the angle bisector of what? Of that angle at T. All right, just like that. So that is it here. This is our angle bisector. We have bisected the given angle as of our instruction. So that was the idea. Then from there, mark on D, mark and label P, the intersection of the two bisectors, the bisector of TS and the bisector of what? CTS. So the bisector of TS is this one, the line bisector, and the angle is this one. Where they intersect, the question is mark a point where these two bisectors meet, all right? Where they intersect, and label it what? And label it P. So it was just marking that point. Then you label that point as what? As P as it is. All right, so that was the only part that you had on this construction part, all right? So that was it. Yes, it was a nice question on your construction, just for the basics. Then section B is the one now that you're being asked to answer any 4 questions from this section. Just, but for the sake of revision and clarity's sake, we are just going to try by all means to attempt all of the questions that you have on your section B, but in your case, you must or you're supposed to attempt them as like to choose 4 questions from there. So each question actually carries 12 marks. So that's an advantage of what we have. Just choose the one that is easier, that you understand. For number 6, it was about our sets. It was about sets. Yeah, it was just about sets. All right, let's see. Let's see what we have here. All right, the universal set, the elements 1 to 10. So that's 1 to 10. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then list all the even numbers. So the even numbers will be exactly divisible by what? By 2. 2, 4, 6, and so on. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Those are the even numbers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then the prime numbers divisible by 1 and itself. So that's 2, 3, 5, 7. So that was going to be 2, 3, 5, 7. Divisible by what? 1 and itself. So those are your prime numbers, the ones that you consider as prime factors, remember? All right, then B, Z is a set of what? Integers. Integers, those you're referring, positive or negative whole numbers. Positive or negative what? Whole numbers. N is a set of natural numbers. Natural numbers, those are whole numbers, but positive whole numbers starting from 1, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So just like counting numbers in actual sense, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Then C is a set of prime numbers between 10 and 20. All right, so we're going to consider prime numbers in between these. Item 1, identify a finite set. A set which ends, finite, it ends. Infinite does not end. So finite, it ends. So which of the sets ends? Guys, do integers end? No, they do not end. You count up to infinite. Same as natural numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to infinite. But if we check set C, it's a set of prime numbers between, you are told between, it's limited in between these numbers. So that set, it ends. You are not going to write numbers and so on. The prime numbers say that we have between 10 and 20. We can list all of them. But you cannot list all natural numbers. It's impossible. They end up to infinite. Same as integers, it's infinite. But this one, it's not about prime numbers, but it's about prime numbers between the statement D, limited. It's limited between, in between these numbers. So it is set C, which is what? A finite set. It ends. Set N and set Z, they do not end. They are infinite. They do not end. All right. Express set Z and N in set notation. So remember, you're told Z is for what? Integers, positive or negative whole numbers. So that's, you can just indicate they do not end from negative infinite. From negative infinite. They do not end from negative infinite. All right, so you can just indicate maybe -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so on. They do not end up to positive infinite. That's Z. Then N being a natural numbers from 1 and so on. 1, 2, 3, and so on and so on. So this one also does not end. So those are the sets. You can just write any example of your choice, any example, but show that they do not end, those two. All right. On C, there are 25 learners in a class. All right. Then from that, this is the information that you're given. 16 play volleyball. That's 16 for volleyball. 10, they play chess. All right. 25 of them are in our class. Then X play both, which is the one that we are given, X playing both. Then there is a 5 of the given players. do not play any of the given games. So 5, they are outside of the universal set. They do not play any. All right. Then V is a set of what? Volleyball, C, chess. Copy and complete the Venn diagram below by showing the number of elements in each set. All right. Remember, you're told that volleyball, they are 16, but X play both. So you must subtract X from 16. Chess, they are 10, but they are X who play both. So you must subtract X from what? From 10, the ones who play both. So that is it. And remember those 5 that do not play any of these two. So that was it. Just to copy and complete as it is. Then from there, find the value of what? Find the value of X. That's our item 2. So we can determine the value of X since there are 25 of them in a class. In this part, the universal set is what? 25. So if I add everything, this part, 16 minus X plus this X plus this 10 minus X plus the 5, which is outside, I'm supposed to obtain a total of what? A total of 25. That is the one of our number of learners in a class, our universal set. Just like that. So you can solve for X. Minus X plus X, that's a 0. So you're going to remain with what? Minus X. Add these numbers. That's going to be 16 plus a 10. All right. Then plus what? Plus 5. And that was going to give us 31. So minus X plus 31 is equal to 25. Let us solve for X. Minus X is equal to what? 31 to the other side was going to be a negative. So that's 25 minus what? 25 minus 31, which is negative 6. So divide by a negative 1 by a negative 1. X is equal to what? Positive 6. So that was the whole idea of this question, direct as it is. All right. So you see, guys, some of these questions will be just direct. So just play around with the information. So download the question paper so that you can properly see these questions. All right. On this one, you're given on number 7. That is now question number 7. The points P and Q have got these coordinates respectively. So that's our point P and this is our point Q. Calculate on A the gradient of the line PQ. So from this, I'm just going to call x1, y1, x2, y2, so that I can calculate the gradient of the line PQ, as the gradient is given by the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I can simply substitute y2 is what? Negative 8 minus y1, which is what? Negative 6. Everything over x2, that's negative 3, minus x1, which is 5. So take note, negative, negative, that's a plus. So it's minus 8 plus 6, which is negative 2, over what? Minus 3 minus 5, that's negative 8. Negative, negative cancels. 2 into 2, that's 1 into 8, that's a 4. So this was going to give us 1 over 4 as our gradient. Then item 2, it was now to determine the equation of the line PQ. Remember, equation of a straight line, you can use y is equal to mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. M is the gradient. Already you calculated this. This is your gradient. This one, gradient. This is the one that I'm writing as what? M. So y is equal to that gradient, 1 over 4. So that's 1 over 4x plus c. So you must find c. To find c, substitute any one of these points, either point P or point Q. Remember that you use any one. So as for me, I'm going to use point P. 5 minus 6. Thus, I have got the value of x and the value of y there. Y is what? Negative 6. Where at that moment x is what? 5. So that's it, plus c. So let us solve for c. Minus 6 is equal to 1 over 4 times 5. That's going to be 5 over 4 plus c. So I'm going to take the 5 over 4 to the other side. It's going to be a negative like this. So use your calculator. Minus 6 minus 5 over what? Over 4. This is going to give us negative 29 over what? Over 4. So c is equal to negative 29 over 4. Therefore, our equation can be written as what? From this statement, therefore, y is equal to 1 over 4x, right? So that's 1 over 4x plus c. We substitute the c. Our c is what? Negative 29 over 4. So that's plus minus, which is what? A negative 29 over 4. You can even leave your answer with improper fraction for this one. There's no need for you to simplify further. Do not worry, guys. All right? Just like that. So this is it. You play around these straight lines, guys. All right, straight lines, they're just direct. It's all about gradient equation of a straight line. Or you can use that formula y minus y1 over x minus x1 is equal to what? Gradient. So I want you to prove with that. See, you're going to obtain the same answer at the end of the day if you make y the subject of the formula. So many ways actually that you can use to determine the equation of what? A straight line. Answer the whole of this question on a sheet of what? Graph paper, using a scale of 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit on both axes. X taken from minus 2 up to 2. This is the interval for x. You are not supposed to exceed that. Minus 2 to 2 and y from minus 1 to 1. So this is it. 2 centimeters representing what? 1 unit. So x is being taken. If we are to consider that so that we are limited, it's minus 2 up to what? Minus 2 up to 2. So we just need minus 2 up to 2. All right? And the y values from what? Minus 2 up to 1. Y is from minus 2 up to 1. That is how limited our graph is. But anyways, it's not a problem. Let us have our graph drawn. This is it. We are supposed to draw the first one, C item 1, draw on the same axis the graphs of item 1, x plus 2y is equal to 1. All right, x plus 2y is equal to what? 1. X plus 2y is equal to what? Is equal to 1. So what I can simply do here is to have a table of values where I can consider from the values of x that we are having from minus 2 up to 2. Which ones can I just need 3 values. So which ones can I use, guys? The values of x. The most appropriate I can just choose here is a negative 3, a 0, and a 1, a 3. Yes, let's just choose a 3. All right, it's actually x. Guys, what did I do here? X is from minus 2. From minus 2 up to 2, meaning to say minus 3 is not even included here. No problem. Minus 2. If we choose minus 2, it's going to complicate, but let's just choose minus 2, 0 and what? And 2. So that we just like separate. Or we can even choose minus 1. Yes. Anyone, guys, anyone. Minus 1, 0, 1. Yes, this will be the easiest one. But anyone of your choice, all right? Any one of your choice, guys. From these, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2. All right? You can just choose anyone. But that is for the x values. So when x is minus 1, since x plus 2y is equal to 1, when x is minus 1, so it's minus 1 plus 2y is equal to 1. So 2y is equal to minus 1 to the other side is going to be a positive 1. So that's a 2. So divide by 2 by 2, y is equal to 1. All right. When x is a 0, you're just going to put a 0 here. When x is a 0, that's 0. So 2y is equal to 1. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Y is equal to what? 0, 0.5. 1 over 2. That's what? 0, 0.5. All right, when x is 1, you're just going to put a 1 here. So that's 1 plus 2y. Take 1 to the other side, it's going to be -1. So that's 2y is equal to 0. 1 minus 1, that's a 0. Divide by 2 by 2. So y is equal to what? Y is equal to 0. So you're going to mark these points. When x is -1, y is 1, you mark a point. -1 versus 1. So you mark a point. When x is 0, y is what? 0, 0,5. It's in between. So you're just going to count half of that in between. When x is 1, y is what? 0. So that's 1, 0 in the x-axis, direct in the what? X-axis. So you're going to join the line from those 3 points that you're given. You join, all right? So that was going to be something, all right? Just pardon this. All right, so that was going to be something like this. Passing through the given 3 points, it was going to be like this. Only that, guys, this is just going to be something else because these are softwares, guys. They're not going to be at directives, but it was going to be something like this. All right. Let me shift like this, passing through those 3 points, all right? So something like that. So this is our straight line. We're having what? 3 points. 3 points are actually enough for you to have a what? A straight line. So do not forget to write the equation. X plus 2y is equal to 1. That's the equation of the straight line, all right? So that is the first line that you're given. You draw it as we are given. Then move on to the second one. 3x minus 2y is equal to what? 3. Same, guys, we are limited x values from -2 up to 2. You cannot choose anything above that. So let us use the same concept or same approach. Just like before, we use our table. So this is what you're going to have at the end. Just 3 points are enough. X, Y. This is what you have. Our equation is 3x minus 2y is equal to 3. Remember from this. So choosing x values, you can even use the same x values. -1, 0, 1. All right, so let's start with 1 when x is 1. So that's 3 times 1. All right, minus 2y is equal to 3. Let us solve for y there. 3 times 1, that's 3. Minus 2y is equal to 3. You take the 3 to the other side. That's going to be -3. That's a 0 there. So minus 2y is equal to 0. Divide by -2 by -2y is what? Y is going to give us a 0. Is that so? All right, this is when x is 1, not -1. So I took for, all right. Anyways, guys, this is 0 for when x is 1. But when x is -1, here it's minus what? -1. When x is -1, it's going to be 3 times -1, which is -3. Then you take the -3 to the other side, it's going to be +3. So that's it. Minus 2y is equal to 3 plus 3, that's a 6. Divide by -2 by -2, y is equal to what? -3. When x is what? -1. What about when x is equal to what? When x is equal to 0. So that's a 0 here. So this is what you're going to have. 3 times 0, that's a 0. So it's what? 0 minus 2y is equal to 3. Meaning to say, minus 2y is equal to 3. Divide by -2 by -2. So y is going to give us 3 into this. That's -1,5. So that's -1,5. So let us mark our points, guys. Just like before, mark these points. You draw your line, just like that. All right. So the first point that we are actually having is what? -1 and -3. When x is -1, y is -3. Is -3 part of our interval? -3, -3, -3. -3 is not. Y is taken from -2. So guys, I'm just going to use 2 points here. -2. Let's check the other one. Here, this is out of interval. So I'm just going to use this one. 0 and what? 1,5. 0 versus minus 1,5. So that's somewhere here in between minus 1 and minus 2. That's 0 versus minus 1,5. The other point is what? 1, 0. When x is 1, y is equal to 0, which is the one in the x-axis. I'm just going to use 2 points, guys, all right? 2 points are actually fine, but 3 points are the best, all right? But even 2 points, just like this, join this point and the other point, this one, like this. So that is how you are going to have these lines at the end. They were gonna be like this. And from there, you can write the equation of that line as you are given here. This is our equation. So write that equation as it is. So that's 3x minus 2y, which is equal to what? To 3. All right, just like that, just like that. So you must have the tables, indicate the points. Any points, just use any, but make sure that you use from the input values, which are the values of x that you are given. All right, and the corresponding y values will be taken from those x. All right, then from there, they're saying here, use the graph to solve the simultaneous equations. Use the graph, meaning to say, using graph method. If we check, these two equations are the two lines that we drew before. These two, we have it. So whenever you're solving simultaneous equations graphically, you consider the point of what? Of intersection. At the point of intersection, that's where your solutions are taken. The two graphs, they intersect, these two lines, they intersect here. This is where they intersect at point 1, at this point 1. So the coordinates of that point x is 1. The y value in the x-axis, remember, y is equal to what? Y is equal to 0. That point, it gives us the value of x and the value of y. That is to solve simultaneously. What is the value of x there? The value of x is what? Is 1 at the point of intersection. And y is equal to 0 at that point of intersection. The y value is what? Is 0. So that is, you've solved simultaneously those equations, but from the graph, using the graph, just like that. All right. Then on item E, write down the y-intercept and x-intercept of this line, the same line that you drew before. So you can even check from the graph, guys, what is the x-intercept? From that line, 3x, this one, 3x minus 2y is equal to this. The x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, where it crosses the x-axis at what? At 1. So that's our x-intercept. All right. So our x-intercept is when x is equal to what? 1. Or you can write it as a point 1, 0. The y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, as you can see, it's at what? Minus 1,5, in between minus 1 and 2. So that's your y-intercept. Y is equal to what? Minus 1,5 according to your scale. Or 0 versus minus 1,5 as a point. So that's it for that point, all right? So you've answered all questions from the given graph. They wanted you to use the information from the graph, all right? Then from there, question number 8, you're now given this part of your matrices, all right? Given matrix A, B, they want you to know the basic idea of your matrices, each and every part. Determine or find the what? The inverse of matrix A. So remember the inverse, you must have what? Determinant first. What is the determinant of what? Matrix A. You multiply major diagonal 3 times 4 minus the minor diagonal 2 times 5. So that's 12 minus 10, which is 2. So therefore the inverse of matrix A is given as 1 over what? 1 over determinant. 1 over the determinant. Then you interchange numbers in the major diagonal, these ones, you interchange them. So 4 is going to replace 3. 3 is going to replace 4. In the minor diagonal, this one, the minor one, you multiply by a negative, So it's going to be negative 2 -5. So that is our inverse, all right? Then B, the value of n if B is what? Singular. If matrix B is singular. A singular matrix, its determinant is what? 0. So you just solve an equation from determinant n times -2 minus the minor diagonal 2 times what? 2 times 4 is supposed to give us a 0. Since our determinant is 0, you formed an equation. Solve that equation. N times -2, that's -2n. 2 times 4, that is going to be 8, and that's equal to 0, like this. All right, so -2n is equal to 8 to the other side is going to be, this -8 is going to change into a +8. So dividing by -2 both sides, our n was going to be 8 divided by -2, which is what? -4. That will make that matrix to be singular or its determinant to be what? To be 0. That is the condition. Another part here, it was to find the value of x when the determinant of matrix C is what? Is 5. This time you're given that its determinant is -5. So this is our matrix C. Find the determinant. X times 3, your major diagonal, minus 4 times what? 4 times 5 is supposed to give us a -5, just like that. So x times 3, this will be 3x. 4 times 5, -20 here because there's a negative, and that's equal to -5. So 3x is equal to what? -20 to the other side was going to be a positive. So that's minus this plus this, which is 15. Minus 5 plus 20, that's 15. Divide by 3 by 3. So that's our x was going to be what? 5. 15 divided by 3. That is going to give us a 5. So that is how you can simply play around with that. All right, that was part C. And part D, two values of k if D is singular. We have talked about singular here on part B. Determinant is what? Determinant must be equal to 0. So you do the same even on matrix D. So that is it. The product k plus 1, the major diagonal, into what? Into k plus 2. Those are the terms. That's like this part and this part. Minus the minor diagonal 6 and what? 6 and 2. You must obtain what? A 0. So you formed an equation, but they said find those two values of k. You must solve it. All right, so let us expand our bracket. K and k, that's going to be k squared. K and 2, that's going to be 2k. 1 times k, that's positive k. 1 times 2, that's a positive 2. And here you've got -6 times 2, which is 12, and that's equal to a 0. So as we can see, when I have to collect our like terms, there is 2k and a positive k. So 2 plus 1, the coefficient of k is actually a 1. So it's 2 plus 1, which is 3k. 2 minus 12, that's a -10. So that's equal to 0. So you can solve this equation by what? By factorization. Simply use your factorization method, or you can use the quadratic formula. It is in your hands. All right. Factorizing, since the coefficient here of k squared is 1, I'm just going to have 2 brackets with the k and k here. And considering the factors of what? -10, which will add up to +3. Factors or products of a -10, but they will add up to a +3. So if you check, there's 5 and -2. If you multiply these two, you're going to get -10. But when you add these two, you're going to get a +3. So that's +5 and -2. So each bracket must be equal to 0. K plus 5 must be equal to 0, or k minus 2 must be equal to 0. So let us solve the value of k from each. This is going to give us a -5. The other one is going to give us what? A +2. So those are the two possible values of k from the given information. So as you can see, guys, it's just a matter of playing around with your questions right? Understand each and every part, your diagrams, straight lines, basics. It's all about basics. Just know your basics, all right? As you are doing these revisions, basics are very, very important. We move on to number 9. You are given that the marks obtained by 36 learners, all right, in a mathematics test was marked out of 5, were as follows. So these are the marks, all right, and it was marked out of what? Out of 5. On A, you are given, show this data that you're given on a item 1 tally table. You're supposed to use the tally table. So just showing to say, like these are the marks. So you want to see, like, we want to consider how many obtained as 0, all right? Like 0 here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. They obtained what? They obtained a 0. So you're just gonna have a smaller table. Let me just see if I'm gonna win here. All right. Let's see how many. Let's just say it's out of 5, remember. So let's just have 5 of them. 5, 2, yeah, like this. All right, so let's hope, guys, you're gonna understand what I'm gonna show you here. All right, so this is our tally table that we are going to use on item 1. So we are going to have the marks. Remember, these are what? Marks, and you're gonna have your tally here. All right, so we saw that 0 out of these marks, they are those who obtained a 0. There are 4 of them, so you indicate 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's a tally. We move on to 1. How many obtained a 1? That's 1 here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 of them. So this is how we indicate 6. So you're just gonna indicate mark 1. There are 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 5th one you indicate with a line that crosses like this. These are 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the 6th one you indicate it aside like that. So that's it. You move on. Those who obtained 2, 3, 4. We're gonna need another one for the 5th one. All right. Let me just do this. This is for the 5th one. The 5th one, there are those who obtained 5 out of 5. All right. So that is how you're gonna present this. You move on to 2. How many obtained 2? 2, 2. That's 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. There are 4. So 4, we represented 4 before. This is 4. So just 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Then those who obtained 3, how many are they who obtained 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They are 12 of them. So we're going to indicate 5 like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've indicated 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we indicate 5 like this. So this is 5, 10. We are left with what? With the 2. So we're just going to indicate 2 aside. So that's 5, 10, 12. All right. Those who obtained 4. All right. We also have those who obtained 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They are 8 of them. All right. They are 8 of them. So 8, we're going to indicate 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 like this. We remain with what? With the 3. 1, 2, 3. They make 8. 5 plus 3, that's 8. Then those who obtained a 5, how many of these who obtained what? Who obtained a 5? All right, that's 1. Right, a five, that's 1, 2. They're just two of them. All right, so they are just two. So that's 1, 2. So that's your tally table. All right, so that was the first item, the tally table. Then item 2, the frequency table. So just like what we have, guys, you are going to simply repeat this, but now indicating numerical values. You are going to represent what? Numerical values this time. So that is the only part that you're going to consider, that you now have what? You now have numerical values. You now have numerical values. All right, sorry for that. Like this. All right, let's hope I'm gonna win. All right, so this is what you're gonna have this time. On the frequency table, these are the marks, and this will be your frequency numerically, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like before, we saw these ones, they are what? They are 4. These ones, they are what? 6. These ones, 4. Here it is what? 12. This is 8. This is 2. You write them numerically, but a tally, you present it like that. So that was your information. So this is our frequency table. This is our frequency table. And from there, you are now asked to calculate the item 1, the mean. All right, so the mean of the distribution, that's B item 1. So you can simply have it from the frequency table. Remember, that mean is going to be sum of frequency times the marks that you're given over the sum of what? The frequencies. So that's frequency times the mark. You multiply these two, F times X. Frequency times this, you multiply. So that's 0 times 4 plus, you multiply this, 1 times 6 plus 2 times 4. This is for ungrouped data. Remember, ungrouped data. All right. 3 and what? 3 and 12 plus 4 and what? 4 and 8 and so on and so on. So that's 5 and 2 at the end. 5 by what? 5 by 2. Everything over the total frequency, which is you must add these frequencies. That's 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus a 12 here plus this 8 plus what? Plus these 2. So this is what you're going to have at the end. So multiply and add. That's it. Just like that. All right. So 0 times 4, that is going to give us a 0 plus 1 times 6, that's a 6. So that's going to give us a 6. 2 times 4, that's 8. 3 times 12, that's 36. 4 times 8, that is going to give us 32. 5 times 2 is going to give us a positive 10 over the total frequency. So adding these numbers, you are going to obtain a total of 36. 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 12 plus 8 plus 2. That's 36. So adding everything on the top, that's 92 over 36. So you can have it as a decimal. This is paper 2. Calculators are required. 36, 96 divided by what? Not 96, but 92 divide by 36 as a decimal. That's 2,5555 and so on and so on and so on, which is 2,56 to 3 SF, to 3 significant figures, as we are told from the instruction that you must use that 3 significant figures. So that is the mean of the given data or the given what? Distribution. All right. Let us consider B, item 2, the mode. So the mode is the number with the highest frequency. The one with the highest frequency, The highest frequency is 12. So that's the corresponding mark is what? Is 3. So the mode is simply 3. Then median, that's half of the distribution. Remember, our total frequency is what? Is 36. So in order for you to obtain the median, you need half of the distribution. You can use that because this is an even number. You can use that as it is, or you can use half of n plus 1 to obtain what? The median position. So first, you must have the median position, which you refer as half of n plus 1, or simply half of that number as it is, since it is what? Since it is an even number. So that's half of 36 plus 1. 36 plus 1, that's 37. And 37 divided by 2 is what? 37 divided by 2. This is going to give us 18,5. So that's a position, 18,5th position. Where is this position? Where that position is, that's where you obtain what? The median. So you must count either from this frequency going down or from this bottom going up. It is in your hands. So let's count up to 18,5. 4 plus 6, that's a 10. 10 plus 4, that's 14. We are still less than 18. So if we add, we said 4 plus 6, that's a 10, plus 4, that's 14. So if we add 14 plus 12, this is going to give us 26, which is, we already have this 18,5. It occurs in this position. So that's at what? At 3. So our median is going to be equal to 3. All right. Where this 18,5 occurs, 26, guys, 18,5 is inside that. Even if you try this side, 2 plus 8, that's 10. Then 10 plus 12, that's going to be what? 22. So as you can see, 22, 18,5 occurs in this 22 here at what? At 3. So either way, you are going to obtain your median. So first you have the position, then determine the median value. Then after that, on C, they want us to answer the whole of this question on a sheet of graph paper, where 2 centimeters represents 1 unit on both axes. Draw a bar graph for the information. So to draw the bar graph, that's our item C. We can simply work with our frequency table, the max and the frequency. So 2 centimeters represents 1 unit. So this is what I'm going to have. This is my frequency, and these are the max. So every 2 centimeters, 1 unit. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I don't know if I'm going to get a 12 here up to the last one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, let's hope I'm going to win. 8, this is 9, 10, 11, and 12 is there at the end. All right, no problem. So that's our frequency axis. Then on the horizontal, these are going to be the marks. So just like separate them, these marks, like 1. So this is where we've got our 1, our 2, our 3, our 4, our 5, and so on. Remember, 2 centimeters represents 1 unit. So we need a bar chart, a bar graph. You can even use lines like that, vertical lines. Okay, so this is what it means. The one who obtained a 0, the ones who obtained a 0 in our case, how many are they? From our frequency table, 0, there are 4 of them. So you indicate a straight line going up, straight up to what? Up to 4. So that's 0 versus 0 versus 4. So that's 0 here versus 4. 4 is going to be up here. That's 0 versus 4 here. All right. So we're just going to indicate our line 0 to 4. Just indicate a line like this. All right. Like that. Then you move on to 1. 1 corresponds with what? What is the frequency for that 1? That is the whole idea. 1 corresponds with 6. So that's 1 corresponds to 6. This one here, we're going to take it up to 6. That one, we take it up to 6. So that was it. That was it. That was the whole idea of this one. All right, sorry for that. So we must take this one up to 1 like this. All right, so that's 1 up to what? Up to 6. All right, then 2 corresponds with what? According to our information, 2 is gonna correspond with the frequency of what? The frequency of 4. So that's 2 according to frequency is what? Is 4. So just like 1, so 2 is going to correspond to 4 here. So I'm going to have my line from 4 like this. That's a bar like that. It's fine as it is. Then 3 corresponds with what? If we check according to our information, those who had 3 marks according to their frequency, how many? That is the frequency, how many students or how many learners do we have in that interval? That is the condition, all right? So according to our information, let us see, it's only that is taking me time, but it was 12, all right? Just for the sake of time, this is delaying now. It's delaying like, I don't know what's happening, guys. So you just see, guys, 3, 12, 4, 8, 5, 2 for the sake of time. So 3 versus what? 3 versus 12. All right, so 12 is actually the end. So this is 3 up to 12. Let us take this up. Let us take this up to what? Up to 12. Up to 12. Let us go up. We are still there, guys. We are still there up to 12. This is going up. All right, where is it? Here. Why is it not moving now? As you see, these softwares, sometimes they just tend to operate their way. Let me draw another one like this. All right, another one up to 12, up to the end there, up to actually the end. All right, let's try to stretch this one. Maybe we're gonna win. Still, all right, yes, it does up to the end like that. All right, up to 12 there at the end. So this is the part of our 3. So you're gonna take it from 3 there up to 12 like that. All right, then the other one, it was 4 versus 8. All right, 4 versus 8. So you're gonna take this 4 up to 8, up to 8. All right, so let us take it up to 8. Up to 8, we can see, sorry, shifted something wrongly here. All right, sorry for that. So up to 8, let us adjust this one up to 8. There, you're going to take it up to 8 here. So that is the whole idea. The bar there ends at 8. Then 5, it was corresponding with what? With the 2. All right, something happened, guys, on my graph. I don't know how did I just move this one. It's supposed to be like this. Sorry for that. Then 5 up to what? Up to 2, the last one. That's 2 somewhere here. This is our 2. So that was the whole idea, guys. You take these corresponding to their frequency, all right? Corresponding to their frequencies like this. You see, guys, how it's gonna be like, all right. But anyways, I just hope you. So this like that up to the last one, all right? Another part, you are now given that if a learner is selected at random, find the probability that the learner selected scored a mark less than what? Less than 3. The learner just one, it's one learner that you're talking about, but scored what? Less than 3. These are the marks, remember? Here, these are our marks. So 3 is here. So we need less than 3. That's 2, 1, 0. These are the ones that we want. So according to our frequency, how many scored less than 3? That's you simply add 4 plus 6 plus what? Plus 4. there are 14 of them. So the probability is going to be what? The probability is going to be those 14 learners out of the total frequency. Remember our total frequency, when we added our learners, it was what? 36. So that's it. Divide by 2, that's 7 over 18. You can leave it like that, or you can have it as a decimal or as a percentage. Probability can be written in any manner that you understand. All right, number 10, part of our algebra. All right, the first part, it was to express this as a single fraction in its simplest form. All right, let us consider part A. That's 35 over what? X minus 4 plus 5 over, all right, this can be factorized, guys. All right, let's just factorize. You have our two brackets, x and x here, factors of 20, which will add up to -9. That's -5 and -4. There are so many factors of 20, 21, -20, -1, -10 and -2, 10 and 2, -5 and -4, 5, and 4. There are so many. But which pair that when you add, you are going to obtain a -9. That's -5 and what? -4. So those are the ones that you're going to write here. So simplifying the LCM, x minus 4 is the same. So you write x minus 5. Then divide. X minus 4 cancels. You remain with what? X minus 5. So that's into x minus 5 plus this one and this are the same, so you're going to obtain a 1 when you divide. So that's 5 times what? 5 times 1. Let us expand our brackets. That's 35 times x, 35x. Then you multiply here, 35 times -5, which is going to give us -175. 5 times 1, that's a 5. Everything over the given two brackets. So that's it. Collecting our like terms, you're going to obtain 35x minus 175 plus 5. This you can even use your calculator, guys. That it was going to give us minus 170. All right, so that's minus 170 over what? The two brackets as you are given. Then you can factor out the numerator. From that, we've got the highest common factor between 5 and 170. The highest common factor is 5. So divide or factor out 5. 35 divided by 5, that's 7x minus 170 divided by 5. This is going to give us 34. So that's 34. Everything over what? X minus 4 into x minus 5, all right? There's nothing that we can do. These brackets are different. You cannot cancel. So this will be your final answer. You cannot simplify further from there, all right? Just like that. Algebra, guys, algebra. Know factorization. Know your factorization in as much as you can, all right? Express this as a product of its prime factors. Guys, you're going to divide starting by 3, this and that, this and that. Up to the last one, then that is it. Okay, let me just try and see. Item 1 of B, 3969. The smallest prime number is going to be 3. Right, let's just use our calculator. 3969. Divide by 3. That's 1323. Let's divide again by 3. All right, divide by 3 is going to be 441. All right, let's divide again by 3. By 3, that's going to be 147. Okay, let's divide again by what? By 3. This is going to give us 49. So 3 cannot work. We move on to 7. 49 divided by 7, that's 7. 7, that's 1. So this is the whole number that we have. 3,969 can be written as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's 3 to the exponent of 4 times 7, that's 7 squared. All right. Just like that. Then hence or otherwise find the square root of this. So the square root, when you're given these factors like our prime factors, you can simply find that as 3969 is equal to the square root of 3 to the exponent of 4 times 7 squared. So how do you find the square root when you're given powers like this? You simply divide by 2. The square root, the number inside the square root, it's a 2. So the power, you divide it by the number inside the root sign. So it is simply 3 to the exponent of 4 over 2. That is going to give us what? 3 squared, right? The power divided by number inside the root. So that's 3 squared. 7 squared, you divide 2. That's 2 divided by 2, which is what? Which is 1. Power, you divide by the number. If it was cube root, the cube root of 7 cubed times, let's say 11 to the exponent of 6, you do the same. 3 divided by 3, 6 divided by what? By 3. So for square root, there's a 2 inside. So the power divides to that. So 3 squared, that's 3 times 3, which is 9 times 7. And that is going to give us what? 63. So that is what you're going to have as the square root of that number. You can even prove it with your calculator. The square root of 3969 is what? 63. So you can see that that's the same answer that you're going to obtain, but they wanted you to use the calculation from those product of what? Prime factors. All right, let us factorize completely part C, item 1. All right, what is it that we have which is common? That is the whole idea of our question here. If we consider there is a bracket here, x minus y, which is common because these are two terms here. This a term, as they are brackets like this, you consider this as a single and this as a single part. So from the first part, if I factor out that common bracket, which is x minus y here, all right, I'm going to remain with what? I'm going to remain with this bracket of 4x plus 2y. Then minus, if I factor out the x minus y, where there's a squared like this, it means there are two of them, x minus y, x minus y. You factor out one of these, you're going to remain with x minus y. So just open a bracket because there's a negative. It must affect every term, all right? So this is it. You factored out x minus y. This is what you're remaining with. Simplify that, all right? Just simplify. 4x plus 2y like this, minus times x, minus times minus y, that's a positive y like this. So that's going to be x minus y into what? 4x minus x as you collect the like terms. So 4 minus 1, that's 3x. 2 plus 1, y there, this is 1y. So 2 plus 1, that's 3. So this is going to give us 3y. So factoring out the 3, which is common in this bracket, you're going to factor out 3. So it was going to be 3 into what? 3x divided by 3, that's x. 3y divided by 3, that's going to be y like this. But don't forget the first bracket that you had of x minus y. So that was it. At the end, you factorize this completely. Right, item 2, it was just a direct factorization. As we have got the coefficient of x squared as 1, just have two brackets. Like I always say, guys, you consider what? The factors of the constant minus 6, factors of negative 6, which adds up to what? A positive 5. What are these factors of what? Negative 6. So factors of negative 6 and 1, 6 and negative 1, negative 3 and 2. There are so many factors that you can consider. Negative 3 and 2, 3 and negative 2. But of these factors, which part when we add, we are going to obtain what? A positive 5. That's 5, that's here, 6 and what? Negative 1. So that's plus 6 minus 1. You are done. You have factorized this completely. You obtain full marks by doing that. All right, just like that. So this is what we had item 1 and item 2. Let us move on to D. Solve this equation, right? There is an equation that you're asked to solve, and there is a fraction. Whenever you are given a fraction like this, what can you do? We can simply have this one as an improper fraction. So that's x minus 2 over 5 is equal to 2 times 2, that's 4 plus 1, which is 5 over 2. Then you can simply cross multiply. So cross multiplying, 2 multiplies x minus 2. So that's 2 into x minus 2 is equal to 5 times 5, which is what? 25. So expand the brackets, then collect like terms. 2x, 2 times negative 2, negative 4. And that's equal to 25. So collecting the like terms, the minus 4 can be taken to the other side of the equation. So it's going to be positive 4, or simply add 4 both sides of the equation. So 2x is equal to 29. 25 plus 4, that's 29. So dividing by 2, you are going to obtain the value of what? The value of x. So that's 29 over 2, or you can simply have 2 into 2, that's 1 into 9, that's 4 remainder 1 over 2. That's 14 and a half. So you can actually have it that way, or you can leave it as 29 over 2 like that, or you can have it as a decimal. You're not given, I give you answer like this. No, 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 no. So that was our part D, solving an equation. So you can see that, yeah, paper 2 is now just easier like that, like that. Number 11, we have this part of our circle geometry. All right, in the diagram, there are points A, B, C, D, E, F. All right, are points on the circumference of a circle center O. The moment that you're given a center, consider that property, guys. Remember, where you've got a center like this, a diameter is being formed from A to E, that's a diameter, and a diameter creates, or it subtends, an angle of what? 90 degrees at the circumference. So meaning to say the angle that is formed at D is going to be what? 90 degrees. From that concept alone that you're told, also, we know that angle at the center here, this angle at O, is twice angle at the circumference. So you take this chord from F to E. This chord creates angle at A. So that angle at A, it also creates angle at what? Angle at B. So that angle at B is the same. It also creates angle at C. It is the same. So these angles, multiply them by 2, you have got the angle at the center. So simply, we have got 30 degrees. This is going to be also 30 degrees. This is going to be 30 degrees. Why? They are created by the same what? Same chord or same arc, the arc EF. But O is at the center. So this will be twice. So it will be 30 times 2, which is what? 60 degrees. These are some of the things that you can even fill in your diagram by just being told these guys, that is the center. All right. Anyways, item 1, name an angle equal to ECF. All right. For you to name equal angles, guys, this is the tricky part, right? And it's just easy concept like to consider. ECF, this is our angle. The angle is C. This is our angle, this one, C. But what creates this angle is the chord EF, this one, the chord or the arc EF or the chord EF. So you just consider angles from that chord EF. So you've already talked about this, EAF. Same concept, so it is equal to EAF, as long it is from E going back to F. EBF, same, it is the same. EBF, these angles are equal. ECF, also ECF, any one of these. Even this one from E to D to F, EDF, if you are to create an angle as long it is created by that, it is going to be the same. So even EDF created will be equal to ECF. So you see the tricky part, EF, 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 then the angle is just in between. So all these angles, they are the same. All right, so just anyone, name an angle equal to AFC. Again on this one, item 2, AFC. You do the same. AFC, created by what? The chord AC or the arc AC. A to C, this is our AC, this chord or arc AC. These two, they create angles where AC. All right, so let me just do it this way. AC, like this, from A to C. All right, from A to C, like this. AC creates an angle that's AFC. All right, AFC. AFC. From A to E to C, same thing. So that's AEC. Same chord or same arc. Or ADC is also that ADC. All these angles, they're the same. So that's what you have from that statement. All right. State the size, item 1 of angle ADE. All right. ADE, A to D to E. ADE. Already we talked about this guy's angle at this one is what? 90 degrees, a right angle, since it is subtended by what? A diameter. We have already talked about this, 90 degrees. ECF, ECF, from E to C to F. Remember, we said ECF is same as what? All right, here I just repeated the same thing, ECF, all right? No problem. But that ECF, this one is the 30 degrees, which is same as what? EBF. Remember, it is the same as what? EBF. So that's what? 30 degrees. We've already talked about this. That's 30 degrees. Then EAF, from E to A to F, from E to A to F. Already we talked about this. That's also here. EAF, this one, is same as ECF. So that's 30 degrees. EAF is the same thing here, 30 degrees. All right, this is the same from the same chord. Angles subtended by the same chord or the same arc, remember, they are equal. Then C, calculate angle E or F from E to O to F. E to O to F. We've already talked about this, 60 degrees. Remember, angle at the center is twice angle at the circumference. So it was just going to be 2 times what? 2 times 30, which is what? 60 degrees. All right, we have already talked about that. Circle geometry, you can totalize this one because it's all about theorems. These are proven facts, something that has been proved by guys, by people who died long time ago. Anyways, I'm not supposed to say this thing on the video, guys. Let's hope I'm not going to be affected. But anyways, this is it. Item 1, solve the inequality. All right, item 1 of D, that's 5x plus 7 is less than or equal to 2x minus 5. All right, so take the 2x to the other side. It was going to be a negative. This is just like an equal sign. So it's going to be 5x minus 2x less than or equal to negative 5. The 7 to the other side will be a negative 7. So 5 minus 2, that's 3x, less or equal to what? Minus 5 minus 7, that's negative 12. So dividing by 3, that was going to give us the value of x. So that's minus 12 divided by 3, which is what? A negative 4. Then after that, they want us to show the solution in D item 1 on a number line. So on a number line, that's it. All right, let us have our number line. What is important is 0, negative 4 is on the left, and there is an equal to. So you indicate a shaded circle for these values of x. Where are we going to have values that are less than minus 4? we are going to have these values on the left side of what? Of -4. So you indicate an arrow on that side. All right, that's less than or equal to. When you've got a less than or equal to like that, you simply indicate with a shaded circle. All right, so if there was no equal to, remember, you just indicate a circle which is just normal unshaded, but this one must be shaded because of this equal to. All right, that was it on this question number 11. As you can see, guys, basic algebra, basics of the circle geometry and these inequalities stuff. So you see, guys, it's all about revision. So make sure that you do revise, purchase a course that covers all the topics in your syllabus. All right. If there's a topic that you want, you can purchase it. Just contact me so that you've got a full package for the topic explained from the first part up to the end, and also question papers, revisions, exercises. And if you purchase a course, you also have an advantage to ask questions where you do not understand. So it is like it's just like joining membership. So you can contact me. Just check the description of the video. I mean the description of the channel. Enter the WhatsApp. Then you can see my contact from there. Contact me. I'm going to explain much about the course. That's a powerful tool here that you can use for your exams. You purchase a full package of a topic. You ask questions from there where you do not understand. They will be added as videos to your package. Everything is in a video format, just like that. All right. And also, you get to receive the PDFs, question papers, study materials, a lot. So it's a package. So contact for more. All right, number 12, a stove is a marked price of $720. Just ignore these zeros. Then you just put them on your final answer. This is $720, right? So A, the stove can be bought on cash basis. If bought on cash basis, a discount of 20% is offered. When you buy cash, straight cash, they will give you a discount. So calculate the item one discount offered. Discount is what? 20%. So that's our discount. So discount is 20%. That's 20 over 100 times what? The cash price of $720. Guys, this is paper 2. Use your calculator. 20 over 100 or 20 divided by 100 times what? 720. You're going to get 100 and what? $144. So you can put those two zeros at the end. All right. So don't involve them like here, guys, you get confused, all right? Just put them on your final answer, or even to leave them, it's not a problem. All right. So this is your discount that was offered. Then item 2, the discounted price. So discounted price, you must subtract the discount in order for you to have what? The discounted price. Original price or the marked price of $720 minus the discount. What is the discount? It is what? $144. So what is the difference? Use your calculator again. 720 minus 144 is going to give us $576. So that is the whole idea. When you buy on cash price, cash basis, you are going to buy it at what? 576. They give you a discount. All right. But if you check on part B, the same stove that we had can be bought on lay-by. This is no longer cash. You are not taking cash straight. You are to leave that and then you pay stage by stage. So a discount is not offered on this lay-by. For how many months? For 6 months. Calculate the monthly lay-by installment. How much are you going to pay per month? All right. So when you are buying this on lay-by, no discount. There is no discount, guys. So meaning to say our monthly our monthly lay-by installment is going to be simply the marked price, the one that you see on that stove, as it is 720 divided by number of months, 6 months. So that's it. 720 divided by 6. That's 100 and what? $120. So meaning to say each and every month you must pay $120. There is no discount for a lay-by. All right. Then the same stove that we are talking about can also be bought on hire purchase. A hire purchase is a condition where you pay for the item whilst you are using it. Lay-by, guys, you are just paying whilst the stove is still at that shop until you are done. Then you get the stove for 6 months. Whereas a hire purchase, you pay a certain deposit, then they will give you the stove. You'll be using it whilst you are paying it. So this one, you pay more than the price, more than the cash price. This one, more than the market price. Lay-by, you are not. There's nothing that changed. Only that you are paying it in stages. The same 720 is the one that you are going to pay. Then you get your stove after 6 months because you're not using it. But hire purchase, since you have decided to say, I want to use it now, there you will pay more. So this is the condition. A deposit of what? 30% of what? Of the marked price is paid in cash. So what is calculate that deposit? So the first thing, it is the deposit, which is what? 30%. All right. So that's 30%. 30 over 100 times what? The marked price. 30% of the marked price, the one that you see on the stove. The stove is marked at what? 720 plus. So 30% of that, you must pay it in cash. 30% of what? $720 of the market price must be paid in cash. Take note about that. So this was going to give us $216. This is our deposit. When you pay this amount, they will give you the stove. Go and use it. But after that, you will be paying that. For how many months? For 12 equal monthly installments of $80 each. So meaning to say, for 12 months, you're going to be paying $80. So what is going to be the total cost of the stove by hire purchase? So that's our item 2. So the total cost is going to be the deposit that you paid of $216 plus the 12 equal monthly installments, 12 times what? $80. Each month you pay $80. So you must have that. So that was going to be $216 plus 12 times 80. For those 12 months, you're paying $80. You're going to pay $960. Then you add that deposit plus the 960. So let's add 216. So that was going to be 1,176. $176. So this is how much you pay under a hire purchase, because you decided that you want to use the store for that moment. Whilst you are paying for it, you will pay more than someone who was paying on a lay-by and waited for 6 months to get that stove, or someone who bought it on cash price, because someone who bought it on cash price will get what? A discount. So you see, guys, from 720, the person pays what? 576. All right. The one for a lay-by pays that amount as it is, but only paid in stages for a lay-by. But a hire purchase, guys, you pay more. You pay more. It's just like those buying a car under hire purchase, buying a house under hire. Yes, Those are methods that can be used that anyone can also have a house or a car, but they are expensive at the end of the day than someone who is using cash, all right, or someone who just decides to do a lay-by that I will be patient. I will just pay monthly, monthly, monthly. After I'm done, I will just go and take whatever that I was paying for. So that is another way of calculations that is important even when you are alone making decisions. You want to buy a phone, you want to buy a laptop, you want to buy something that is a little bit expensive, then you must consider how can I plan for this one? Can I go for a higher purchase? Can I go for a lay-by? Can I go for a cash price? It is in your hands, but you have this idea in your hands. So that was the all part of the question paper. As we had this, let us continue to have our revisions. Like I said, you can purchase a course, full course of whatever that you are doing in your syllabus, topic by topic, up to the end. So contact me so that we can discuss much about that. Prepare yourselves for the exams that are ahead of time. Understand all the basics. Go through each and every topic so that you understand. So that is what you had from Maths Zone African Motives. Till we meet again.